line of guns that we've had a lot of interest in here lately are the GSG, or German sports gun line of airsoft submachine guns. These are modeled after the famous H&K Mp5 submachine gun. And out of fairness today, we thought we'd talk about the strengths and the weaknesses of this line of airsoft guns. One misnomer I want to clear up right off the bat is that the airsoft version of the GSG guns are not the same as the actual firearm version of the GSG guns. This particular model is the German-made Mp5 Clone, or GSG-5, with the full suppressor and retractable stock. These are excellent made German guns, and although both of the guns, the airsoft and the actual firearms, share a lot of traits in common, there are some subtle differences, and we're going to get into that today. Now, just a little bit of history on the GSG company. They came out with an Mp5 clone known as the GSG-5, which was almost identical to the Mp5 submachine gun. So identical, in fact, that they had some problems legally with copyright and trademark infringements, so they had to modify the gun from the original GSG-5, which I have here, to the GSG-522, which is a slightly modified version. Now, the airsoft version of the GSG line are actually Chinese imports, although very well-made Chinese imports. So in all actuality, they ought to call it the CSG company, since it's a Chinese company copying a German company that's actually copying another German company. So this is a copy of a copy of a copy, although a very well-made copy, that is. Those differences are, first of all, the front sight on the GSG-5 has a partially shrouded front sight. The top of the receiver has a full rail for adding a scope. They also changed the design of the pistol grip to have a knurled feeling to it versus the smooth feeling on the Mp5. Also, on the trigger guard, they added a strap hook so you can actually hook your sling to it. Now, when comparing the airsoft guns to the actual firearms made by GSG, the airsoft versions have slightly rougher castings. They don't quite have the final fit and finish of the actual German firearm. But in general, I'd say it's probably 90 to 95% of the total quality that you would expect from a German-made gun. So considering that this is a Chinese import, it's actually a fairly well-made gun. The smaller version of the GSG rifles is the 522 PK, like this one here. The only major difference between this and the other 522 rifles is a slightly smaller forend that features a 3-rail forend grip. The 522 PK is of all-metal construction. It features a side-folding stock, but it's also available in strictly a pistol version. This is a non-blowback electric airsoft gun that features a velocity of around 495 feet per second, and it gives you a rate of fire, I would estimate, somewhere between 600 and 800 rounds per minute. The battery on the 522 PK actually fits into the top part of the receiver, which is one of the weaknesses of this particular gun, that you actually have to disassemble both the stock and the foregrip in order to get the battery in and out of this particular gun. The other weakness is that the cocking lever does not actually move, but since this isn't a real gun and you really don't need that to actually do anything, that really isn't a problem. The other problem is that the hop-up adjust is underneath the inside of the foregrip, so you actually have to take this apart to adjust your hop-up. Now, the positives on this gun is it's a very heavy weight, and it's not some pot metal or some junk metal that somebody stuck into it to try to make it feel artificially heavy. This is actually a well-made, well-constructed gun. The other thing that I like about this gun is that it is a non-blowback, so there's less moving parts, less things to break down, and it gives you a higher rate of fire than the blowback variants. The larger version of the GSG is the 522 RIS. This features a slightly longer forend that has a 3-rail grip on it, and a slide-folding stock that's modeled after the G36 rifles. Just like the PK, the 522 RIS is of all-metal construction. The differences are the stock features a rubberized area on the cheek area and the butt of it. This is also a full blowback version of an AEG versus the non-blowback version. So every time you shoot this, there are components that actually move back and forth inside of it. The cocking handle moves so you can actually see the inside of it. Also, when you shoot it, it gives you a slightly greater amount of blowback, so it feels like you're getting a little bit of recoil in the gun. The battery on the 522 RIS is actually located in the front foregrip, and it's a fairly tight fit. Now, it's fairly easy to get the battery out for charging. The big problem is trying to get the battery back into the gun. You know, I've seen a couple of videos made by the manufacturer and by different distributors of this gun where they show how easy it is to get the battery out, but they never quite show how much fun it is to try to get that battery back into this thing. Now, if you're thinking about getting this gun, this is a very good gun, very good shooting, very well made. I would just suggest getting an external battery box on this thing, like a PEQ unit, so that you can mount it externally and not have to try to go through the joy and wonders of trying to put this gun back together. But other than that, this is a very good shooting, full blowback submachine gun, and it gives you a velocity of around 500 feet per second, but since it's a blowback gun, the overall rate of fire is reduced down to, I'd say, like probably around 400 to 500 rounds per minute. So to summarize on the two guns, the 522 PK is a non-blowback version that gives you a slightly higher rate of fire, and the RIS version is a full blowback version that gives you a slightly lower rate of fire, but it does give you the feel of recoil. So if you're looking for a higher rate of fire, you might want to think about the PK model. If you're looking for straight realism out of the gun, you're probably going to want to consider the RIS model. So that's about it. The GSG line of airsoft rifles are definitely a high-quality line of airsoft guns that, although they don't have the same exact quality as their German-made counterparts, are still definitely in the top echelons of the other manufacturers that are out there in the airsoft market, and we highly recommend them here at Replay Sports. If you'd like to come on in and try them, we keep the full line in stock. You can shoot them for yourself and see if you like them or not, which is one of the strengths of this place because you get to actually try them here before you buy them and not get stuck with whatever's in the box. So until next time, be safe and wear your eye protection. GSG, or German Sports Guns, is a German company that makes them in freaking Germany. What else do you expect? You know, tell the difference between them and their German counterparts. They are definitely different. Whatever. Imports from China, which is a Chinese company. Well, no shit, Chinese from China? Really? Airsoft version of the GSG Airsoft line, duh. It has a built-in integral, which, considering that it's a Chinese import, is actually pretty good. We've seen some real junk down here. No, let's start again. GSG 522 PK. I'm spitting on the camera lens, ain't that great? Moving parts, and it is much more susceptible, do that again. The 522 PK is of all metal construction. It features a side folding. It is a non-blowback airsoft gun. Cocking handle does not actually move because there's a battery in that